And hello, Justin.
Morning.
And Marcia's turning us on to Zoom or YouTube. Thank you.
I see that she's recording us. And then who else are we expecting? I know Virginia looks like we're still looking for audio. I have 11:30, so I'm going to turn it over to Marcia to tell us where we stand at this point, or to do roll call if she thinks we're ready.
Okay, I think we're ready.
Hi, Marcia.
Hi. Mr. Lewis,
Ravenna Township present.
Mr. Childers. Looks like he's still connecting to audio, but he's up there.
He was speaking to us earlier, so I know he's there.
Ms. Harris. He's also connecting. Mr. Ginn.
Looks like there's David.
Mr. Ginn.
Unmute.
Unmute, please. Mr. Woods.
Streetsboro, Marvin Woods. Here.
Mr. Markey.
Justin Markey, Red Zone Andrews.
Ms. Amrine.
Claudia Amrine, PARTA.
Ms. Baba.
Denise Baba, PARTA.
Marcia Fletcher, PARTA. Ms. Jurish.
Holly Jurish, PARTA.
Mr. Popick.
Clayton Popick, PARTA.
Ms. Schrader.
Rebecca Schrader, PARTA.
Mr. Troutman.
Brian Troutman, PARTA.
So I think, Dave, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, and Jeff, are you back with us?
I believe so.
Here we go. We got you now. Very good. Thanks so much, Marcia. Appreciate that. Welcome everybody to the Finance Committee meeting for April 20th, 2021. And we will start after roll call with guest communications. I've been not required due to COVID-19. Rebecca, was there anything on old business?
No.
I didn't have anything either. So we'll move right into number 4, new business. And I think we have some things there.
Is that the reports?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I am sharing my screen. Okay.
There we go.
You guys can see all that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so for the month of March, we had a pretty good month. Our fare box and ticket sales were right on budget. We're still just a touch behind for the year, but looking good. We were slightly ahead on agency cash grants for the month and the year. We're ahead for KSU revenues for the month and the year. We might be going down a little bit now. After spring break here in April, the rest of the semester will be virtual. So KSU revenues are expected to dip. Our state fuel tax refunds are right on schedule. We haven't started drawing down any of our federal or state capital maintenance. That's just a timing issue. We've been dealing with lots of auditing and reporting and grant applications, but we haven't really done any. We just haven't had the time yet to do any draws. So the expenditures are out there. The state grant is available to draw down. The federal grant is in its final stages, almost ready to be executed. So hopefully, probably in May, we'll start seeing drawdowns for that. And then our sales tax continues still to be above budget. Other revenues we had $8,000 this month. We did sell an LTV bus on eBay for just over $5,000. So that was good. And then our wages are staying consistent. We are currently at 20% of the budget with wages and fringe. Our health insurance is at 23% of the budget, so right on track with that. Our professional technical services is a little bit under for the month, or over, sorry, it's over for the month. I've started paying for the audit, so that is a, what's the word? I don't want to say it's a timing thing, it's just a, it's a front end loaded thing, I guess is the best way to describe it. So we'll be paying for the audit, but then that'll even out later in the year. The state audit, I should clarify that. And then let's see, capital maintenance is good. Other services, or no, capital maintenance is a little bit above. Again, that's just a timing thing because of quarterly payments that we have paid primarily for Trapeze for their software maintenance. We pay that 4 times a year. We pay that quarterly. So then other services is slightly up. I think, again, that was because of a payment we saw last month for, I think it was for our PIDS software agreement that we paid for. So under for this month, everything is just looking pretty good for this month. So for the month, even though we don't have any grants yet, we were $227,000 to the good, and for the year we're at $614,000. Any questions on this report? Okay. So one of the other grants that we didn't budget for because we didn't know was like last year with the CARES grant. We have a new grant of $3.9 million, I believe it is. It's called CURSA. It's basically this year's CARES grant. And that also is going to be able to start getting drawn down probably also in May, but it will go back to January. I have started working on those reports, but I was kind of waiting until we got through the triennial review, which actually started yesterday. And it is today. We ended our morning at 11:10, and we're going back into their review at 1 something. So lots of auditing right now, and then we'll be moving on that revenue also. So PARTA is looking pretty good. The next report is the capital report. The $227,000 was carried over. I did do one drawdown in March. It was the local match. This was from ODOT. It was the local match for the 5 Turtle Top LTVs that we already received. Also, speaking of grants and OPT2, we are in the process of putting an application together this month for our 2022 OPT2 grant application. It's due on April 30th. So we will be going after more funds for next year too. That was the only grant money that I got this month. And the only expenditure, was a little bit for the design work of the garage build out for the mezzanine, and then the design work for the CDL training pad. We're still moving forward towards those construction bids and procurements, and we have a meeting set tomorrow to go over the status of those projects. I did move $1 million into restricted. So once we go to the next report, you will see that in our restricted account, we have $3.9 million. It was, and again, it was basically just to move it in for future capital projects. Any questions? Okay, and the last report for PARTA is the statement of net position. Oops, and that date should be March. And I caught it before any of you. That doesn't count. Oops. Slash. Okay, so you can see we did have a decrease in cash from February to March. It was, I believe, on the February payables list, we had some projects and the last two LTV buses for the storage facility. I didn't finish my thought there. So we paid those bills. So I did, the Kent Central Gateway did pay back PARTA for the payroll transfers that it did not do starting last October. There was 2 pays in October, November, December, and January that due to cash flow issues with the Kent Central Gateway, we did not do those transfers. And I have caught that up now. So you can see that that has all been paid back. So I did make a mistake in doing all of this transferring back and forth. For our waterfall, for PARTA's waterfall portion of the deficit for 2020, PARTA owed the Gateway $44,601. And I had a COVID brain and actually did that transfer twice. I did it on March 12th, and then I forgot that I did it, and I did it again on the 25th. So that has been rectified, and you will see that fixed in April. So I moved one of those transfers back to PARTA. That's why that $44,000 is sitting out there. You can see the $1 million that I moved to the restricted assets. And this is a wash. This was just moving an asset into a different class, and then the A&E services that you saw in the last report. So the correct waterfall transfer that I made was the $44,601. So that makes our advanced payables for the Kent Central Gateway of $285,000. That's the amount. At some point, PARTA will get paid back, and you'll see on the Kent Central Gateway report, you'll see this 285 plus Kent City's portion. So you'll see that's just a slightly higher number when we get there. Any questions on PARTA?
Is there any time frame that has to be paid back?
There's no requirement.
Okay.
No. Okay, hearing nothing else, I'm going to keep this rolling and move right on to, bless you, the Kent Central Gateway. So this is exciting for the month of March. We had a total of 6,738 cars in the deck. This was a 35% increase on February last month and a 33% increase from March of 2020. You can see our little green line here is going in the same direction as the trend line from the other years, and hopefully we will be catching up here shortly. But you can see we've moved past our COVID slump. So things are looking good. So for the year-to-date numbers, looking at January through March, the number of cars is 28.5% lower than this time last year. But we will see how it continues to go. The rate types collected and the amounts collected these proportions have not changed. And you can see, again, that our transient is expected, the transient revenue is expected to be lower than what we had seen back in 2019, but hopefully this will continue to rise. And our monthly revenue is continuing to look good. We'll get more into the finances on the next report. Any comments? Okay, moving on to the finances. Okay, so for the month of March, our hotel revenue was at $9,900. Still a little bit lower than what we were hoping. Our monthly parking is right on budget for both the month and for the year. Our daily parking is starting to increase, as you would expect, based on the number of cars that were in the deck. We did receive our $1,500 rent for the month. And then we had a little bit of interest and car charging revenue for this month. So total revenues of $33,000. We had our normal expenses. Sorry, I don't have, it's been a couple days since I've done these reports. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything that I needed to point out. Really, all the expenses are pretty much right on schedule. Utilities are up a little bit, but I think that might have to do with our Ohio Edison bill from March. So we had a total expenses of $29,000, a surplus for the month of $4,100, and a year-to-date annual surplus of $2,300. So more than what we are budgeting for the end of the year. So I'm very happy to show these numbers. On the summary report, in that same worksheet, we had 740 overnight parkers at the hotel at $1,350 a night. So for the total for the year so far, we've had 1,674 overnight stays. You can see that the hotel did go up, and you can see that our daily parking did go up. So that's all looking good. Our wages are staying consistent. In fact, all of these expense categories are staying very consistent. So still a little bit behind as far as the cost versus the revenue, but definitely looking much better. Any questions? It's going to be a record meeting. Last report to comment on is our checking account did go up a little bit. Again, we had those transfers, and here's that same intercompany transfer showing the duplicate transfer that I did. So restricted in KCG is staying the same, no fixed assets. And I mentioned the advanced payables. You can see I did invoice the city for their portion of the waterfall deficit. They told me that it was being processed. I have not received that money quite yet. So that is where we're at with the Kim Central Gateway. And that's all my report. So I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Rebecca. Do we have any questions overall on the finances? Couple comments. I think this, after what we went through with the year-end budget and then having a couple double up months of finances, this does seem like a lot less that we went through today. But the other thing is things moved in a direction we all expected, whether it's the PARTA income or nice to see that little turnaround on the Kent Gateway income also turning a profit. So those are both good things. But do we have any questions for Rebecca or the team?
Yeah, what's the CARES Act for this year called? You gave a CARSA or some,
PERSA, CRRSSA.
Can I buy a vowel, please? What does that stand for? Should I ask?
So,
Okay, I didn't think so. I won't. But it's
And we're gonna get-
3.9.
Word.
and we're going to get $3.9 million. Is that what you told us?
yes, I believe that is the number. Let me
But we
just-
haven't collected any of that yet. We're going to get that beginning in May.
Yeah, it'll be retroactive to January. But I just haven't drawn it down yet.
Well, that will change. Do we foresee any, from that money, any additional expense? We did a lot of things last year that incurred expenses when we had to prepare for what we needed to go into with COVID-19. And it seems like we're stable, hopefully, at this point. Do you see any other expenses coming out of that?
That's a tough one. I can't say operationally yet, that we have anything projected at this point, but, there's a few unknowns. We haven't kicked Cleveland back in yet and a few things along those lines. So, I think it's probably a little bit early to answer that.
Okay, that's fair.
I do think overall that things are costing a little bit more, and especially with the demand on parts. Right?
Yeah.
Fair to say?
It's a very difficult balance right now in maintenance for parts because the parts manufacturers and suppliers are just so far behind. And if parts are basically, I mean, like everything right now that's in short supply, I don't want to use the word gouging, but there's a lot of gouging going on out there. So we're trying to identify certain things that we know are going to be, normally we try to roll inventory over about 3 times a year, 2.5 to 3 times a year in value. That probably won't happen in 21 because I'm probably going to need to stock up on things ahead of this a little bit when I find them. We've started doing some investigating, networking with other local transits to try to do some sharing of resources. So there is that even if we come out of COVID, the germ, still have COVID, latency, if you will, I think for the bulk of 21 when it comes to operational efficiencies.
Thank you, Brian. And thank you, Rebecca. Claudia?
Yes, so the acronym stands for Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2021.
Cursa, perfect.
CRISA. Yeah, so,
And let me modify
Thank
the answer for Jeff. The exact amount that we got for CRSA was $3,767,454.
Very good.
Well, thank you.
Good question, Jeff. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Thank you again, Rebecca. We have 2 resolutions on the agenda for discussion today. We have Resolution 2021-0401, a resolution by the Portage Area Regional Transportation Authority Board of Trustees authorizing the filing of application with the Federal Transit Administration and Operating Administration of the United States Department of Transportation for federal transportation assistance authorized by 49 USC Chapter 53, Title 23, United States Code, and other federal statutes administered by the Federal Transit Administration. Boy, that was fun. Claudia?
well, after you went through all that, we actually have this on the agenda for the admin committee. So we can discuss it, but we did put it on for admin at 6:30 on Thursday. These are our annual state and federal grant resolutions to allow us to apply for funding.
Okay.
So we're not actually expending anything with these resolutions. It's what's required to accompany any grant applications, indicating that the board is aware and aware of any local match requirements.
So if there's no financial requirement of either resolution, it's probably better suited to go to the administration and not be discussed at finance then. Is that correct?
Unless you want the meeting to go longer.
You know, we've been on track and have plenty of time, but if we're going to cover administration, we'll save everybody a
yeah.
little bit of time with covering at that point.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I was not made aware in advance of any executive session. Is there a need for any? Does anybody have anything to add for the good of the cause? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jeff. And a second? Anybody? Dave, can I have a motion? I don't know if Virginia's connected.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. Then we will stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for your time. 6:30 Thursday for the administration meeting, followed immediately after at 7 o'clock for the board meeting. Thanks, team, for putting everything together. It did go fast, but as I said, most of the information was right on point. So thank you very much. Everybody have a great day. Enjoy the snow.
That was mean.
Good day to you.
Take care.
See you Thursday.
How do you like that? 30 minutes.